Cool. Frank Abdi, CJ has just mentioned about the Commission of Human Rights and some other organs. But do you think there is a way these few commissions or these few organs have failed in a way to ensure that Kenya does not experience post-violence election, considering the time we have been like in 2013, 2017, we saw all the cases that happened. And are there possibilities of us not having post-violence? Like what should we do if we really need to avoid that?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. I just want to just add more on what my co-panelist has said about the bodies like human rights, those commissions that are there. You see, the problem, we have all the commissions that we require to put everything in place. But we have to look back to how are they formed, the composition. You'll realize that these bodies are not functional and they cannot take on their mandate because their formation has been influenced and was influenced greatly by the politicians. The same politicians who are in power are the people who made them to be there. So what they do, they continue with the will and the visions of these politicians. So they cannot do anything that can look as an opposition vision or an attack to their bosses. So the only problem we have around the commissions, all that we have anti-corruption, we have human rights, we have ethics, and we have all that, those commissions. But the only problem is their formation, how they are formed. I just want also to add something on what Ken earlier said about 2022 election. I think since
a bit of network issues from the other side. Let's hope he gets back to us. As we wait, Ken, what do you have to say? Like, what should we do as Kenyans so that we don't experience
or a coalition of all tribes that came together? There was no tribe that was excluded in that formation. Therefore, it had a public outlook. So it was not based on political lines. And therefore, that's why the way to commission. But if you look at 2007 to 8, there was lack of trust. So there was mistrust between the commission and politicians and the citizen. And if you look at that commission today, there's a lot of mistrust. And therefore, these are some things that leads to violence after the SARS. But when they start to mistrust their such commissions, then they will not accept the returns, whichever it will come out. The last thing is there's perception that other areas are favored in resources distribution. And you realize that when it nears elections, politicians tend to develop those areas that they perceive to have been having a lot of support from, which should not be the case. And when such things start to prop in, people start alienating themselves from each other and they form parties to those other groups that are left behind. And therefore, it becomes that tribal and the end result will be chaotic. I still have trust today because if you were to tell me the percentage or the rate at which the possibility of having violence after 2022 election is, I will tell you that it was higher than today, because I think many things have changed. And if you can see, the polarization has gone down. So the temperature of politics is a bit down today. I don't know if it's because of COVID or whatever, but I think something has gone down. And I still have hope that things can be fine. But for things to be fine and we get good results and outcome which majority of the people, if not all, because not all, everybody will agree or accept the results, but for us to have that which majority accepts, it means that the politicians themselves and leaders must tolerate each other. We as citizens, we must create rooms, favorable rooms and conditions and environment for all the politicians to play their part, to campaign and give us their manifestos. And we should be also open as citizens to know and to inquire what the manifestos are. But above all, we should provide that favorable environment for every politician, despite of their affiliation or their party or where their party is for all of us. So let us just give every party the platform as citizens, politicians and leaders to try to accommodate each other. They don't need to fight in the same way we saw in Kisii. So we just have to accommodate each other and just give each other that chance to air out their manifestos. Yeah.
And just talking of accommodating each other, sorry, Frank, there was a time we were having a bit of network issues from your side, but at least we got to catch up. When you talk of like accommodating each other, we tried, like, okay, the country tried working out with the Building Bridges initiative, but we still found that some people were feeling left out. So do you think this accommodating each other thing can work in our country? Considering the fact that most of the politicians in Kenya, and for a fact, they're very selfish, all of them want to serve their self-interest. So if, for example, the Building Bridges initiative does not accommodate, for example, someone's interest, that means they will not join. Ken, do you think like we can manage like to bring the politicians together and so that we can avoid post-violence?
Well, first of all, I think there is some interesting thing I want to comment on what you talked about commissions, and then I'll comment on the issue of accommodating each other. I think Frank said it very well, that I wouldn't blame these commissions for not achieving as we will expect them to achieve, because first of all, you understand that in Kenya, everything is going bad because there is no political goodwill and that the political environment to implement some of the things that are supposed to be implemented by these commissions is not there. There are commissions like the human rights and anti-corruption and all this, but who is the appointing authority? The appointing authority of this commission is the executive. You saw when Maraga tried to, let me not say tried, but he actually nullified the presidential elections. You saw what the president told him, that after we win, we shall revisit you. We shall revisit the judiciary. And you have all seen the saga that has gone around between Maraga and the president, the judiciary being denied funds, up to date about the president not swearing in the 14, in fact, there are 35 judges that are supposed to be sworn in. And so that just tells you that these commissions, it's not entirely their problem, but the political interference by the executive has rendered these commissions and executive and even the parliament just useless. They are not able to do anything because they fear we take action, then we are out. And so that is what has hindered a lot in these commissions. Then the issue about the BBI and accommodating each other. I don't think by accommodating each other means that we should now be singing the same song. We should now support the BBI, all of us. It's about us having ideas, you and I having ideas totally different, but we can actually sit down and discuss and find the best way forward. And even if we disagree, but we let the people now have the final say. Like the issue about BBI, I think I personally have said this and said it before. There are some of the things I find very good in that BBI, but there are some of the things I find they are irrelevant. We don't need them. And actually, the timing of the BBI and the economic situation in the country and all those things. And that is why, as the people who we actually don't oppose BBI, but we are saying these ideas are good, but we have the pandemic to try and work on. We have a health crisis. The Kenyans have no jobs. And so we can at least use this money and try to put it somewhere. But then in Kenya, when you say that, it said that you are now opposing the BBI, you don't want it. And that creates the feeling that we are left out. And so this group is left out. And then it turns out to be an issue of us versus them. And that will just cause more divisions, because some other thing you must realize that as much as we are calling for one Kenya, it will take us some time. So right now, our political system and everything is ethical based, and that is the reality we must live with for now. And I'm not saying that is the best way to move forward. And so you understand that once, for example, William Ruto seems to be left out of the BBI, the assumption is the entire Rift Valley is now left out of the BBI narrative. And that just causes more division. And so I think as Kenyans, I know this sounds as some sort of utopia, but we must reach a place where, and this is up to young people, we must reach a place where we can differ respectively with respect, where when Umi says, I don't support BBI, I don't antagonize him. I don't say now Umi is an enemy of the people and call him all sorts of names just because they don't agree with my idea. And that is why I feel has led Kenya into a country that it is right now, where everything is just going wrong. And as Nyawera said, we are all tired of everything. But as we all say that we must do something.